Okay, let's jump into this review. Again, this is the SARX033. This is the newest dress watch from Seiko, Japanese domestic market model from the Presage line. I just came out, I just bought it. I've had it for a little bit of time. I'm really impressed with this. It really stacks up well to its predecessors, the SARB, the SDGM. This is kind of the latest in that, in that range. So the thing I love most about this SARX is going to be the dial, the hands, the indices, just kind of the whole cohesion of those elements. Just so well done. If you look at those hands, if I get it in the right light, you can see how vivid and blue they are. That little iridescence to them. And then I move them a little bit, they almost look black, right? They're navy. So those thermally blued hands are just so cool. And if you notice, they're nice and long too. That hour hand reaches all the way out to the indices. The minute and second hand are about the same size, and they go to the outermost portion of the dial. Really like that. And then you've got that timeless kind of Dauphine style or shape to them. So it's a very powerful look, and I really like how that's executed. Now, if you turn your attention to the dial, you'll notice it's not a flat white. It's ever so slightly off-white, and there's a very faint sunburst finish to it. It's almost imperceptible here on the video, but you see it more dominant here in real life if you were holding this watch. There's just a nice sheen, a nice gloss to the dial. And you don't really notice it far away, but when you bring it up close, you notice just how elegant and beautiful and subtle all those niceties are. So then if you look at the indices, again, just really well executed. They're entirely polished, and there's a nice bevel in the innermost section of each of the indices. So there's just an extra facet for light to play off of, and you get some good reflections here. It's just really, really pretty. I also like how the 12, 3, 6, and 9 are doubled up. So kind of helps you locate what the time is pretty easily. Oh yeah, one more detail. If you look at that logo, you can see it's metal and it's applied. And I don't know if you can tell here on the video, but there's a faint shadow underneath the logo on the dial. So this applied logo is not just glued to the dial. It's actually there's actually some standoffs underneath that. It's slightly raised. It's almost floating here on this just beautiful dial. And that's a neat touch. I really like that. So if we look at the case, we have a nice round shape, polished bezel, brushed lugs on the top, a mirror polish on the side, which does attract smudges and fingerprints. But it's just beautiful. I mean, look. You can see my phone, you can see me here reviewing. It's almost mirror-like how that's finished. And then you can see a nice strong line here that delineates the slightly angled or beveled shape of the case. Then if you look at the lugs, they taper nicely toward the bracelet. They're actually quite thin here. And so I think that also lends to the wearability of this watch. Yeah, you'd think with it being 41 millimeters wide that it would be just too big, right? But not so. It's very wearable. It's very comfortable. And again, here's that wrist shot. Wrist shots, I mean, on videos and pictures, the watch always looks bigger than it looks or feels in real life. So just keep that in mind. But it's, gosh, it's beautiful. Just look at that. Look at that dial. Wow, that just pops so nicely. It's so elegant. I think I forgot to mention we have a flat sapphire crystal on top. Anti-reflective coating on the underside of the crystal. So it's nice and clean and legible. Let me show you the case back here. You have a exhibition case back where you can see that 6R15 movement. I have a couple thoughts to share briefly, okay? I like the movement. It's a good movement. It's a workhorse movement, okay? It's not the prettiest. And you can see here, it is not finished extremely well. So Sorry. I mean, there's a little bit of rhodium plating. There's a little bit of finish work on the rotor, but it's not that dazzling to look at. So if this is your first automatic watch, you'll really like that feature, and you want to see that on a dress watch. But if you're kind of a seasoned watch, guy or girl, you'll probably not get overly excited about what you're looking at there. But it's a good movement. It's it's all in house. It's got a 50-hour power reserve, 23 joules. It's got a proprietary Spron hairspring and mainspring. It's got DiaShock protection system. And when it's wound, it's accurate. It's very accurate. You're going to be, the specs say, I think, plus 25 to minus 15. Something that's kind of scary. But in reality, you're going to be under 10 seconds accuracy per day if you wear it frequently. So it's a good movement. It is lower beat, right? It ticks, that second hand's ticking 6 times per second, as opposed to the standard 8 that you'll find on most 4 Hertz watches. So just be aware of that. It's a good movement, but it's not the most pretty, and it's not, the smoothest sweep. Let me show you the crown action. It's not butter smooth, right? It's no Rolex, but it's very good. And to me, it's absolutely on par with the SARB, as well as the SDGM, and just any other 6R15 watch that I've had experience with. It's good, okay? And it's a push-pull crown. It is not screw down, and each position is very easy to distinguish. And it's 100-meter water resistant. And you'll see here with the video, do not be afraid to shower with it, run it under the tap to clean it. You could go swimming with this thing. It's actually really well done. Okay, so don't worry about babying this thing around water. You don't need to worry about that. Okay, last thing, let's talk about the bracelet. You have the same bracelet as you'll find on the Brights models. Kind of that Speedmaster-esque 5-link design. And it is beautiful. Okay, again, there's some smudges. Let me show you, it's not, the center links are not rounded. You can see a very clean line. So it's got a nice chamfer to it, a nice little angle that just is, again, another surface to pick up the light and to play with it. So it really matches how beautiful and understated the case is. I really like the bracelet. It's at 20 millimeters here at the lugs, and it tapers down to 18 at the clasp. You can see the clasp. It's nice and thick. You've got a signed brushed, wow, I can't talk today, brushed section here. And listen to the action. Very nice. One of those little details that just makes you appreciate it. Yeah, that's really nice. It doesn't feel cheap. It feels very secure. I really like that. Just one thing to note, there is a little bit of play to the bracelet. Okay, if you notice here, that's pretty standard for a Japanese bracelet. It's not going to be as tight and as crisp as a Swiss one, but it gets the job done. It's very comfortable and it's very beautiful. You've got pin and collars here, keeping the links together. So again, here's a wrist shot. Just look at how that bracelet plays with the light, ties in with the dial. Really, really well done. I really like that. Okay, so you've heard me ramble on long enough. I'll just close out with a few thoughts now. Okay, so just a couple thoughts in closing. I love it. It's beautiful. It's elegant. It's refined. It's understated. And I'm absolutely not disappointed in the slightest. I had high expectations going into it, and I'm pleasantly surprised. It's a good watch. It's timeless. 20 years from now, it's going to look awesome. I can absolutely recommend it to you without reservation. Okay, even at $750, kind of what it's going for at this time, it's still a good watch. It's still good value. You are getting that extra protection of the DiaShield coating. That's nice to see on a dress watch. You want to keep your dress watches looking sharp, looking clean, free of scratches and scuffs. But you're probably wondering, how does it compare to the SARB and the SDGM, the Brights, the Grand Cocktail? you know, because I have reviewed both of those watches. I've owned both, and it compares very well. I have since sold those watches since I've reviewed them, so I don't have them here to show you, but I have a couple friends, a couple associates that are lending me their personal watches, so I will be doing a video showing this next to the SARB and the SDGM, and you know, that's going to be a fun video, so you can see them all next to each other. Hopefully that's very enjoyable and insightful for you. So that's coming up soon in the next couple weeks. So yeah, those are my thoughts about the watches. I think I forgot to mention my 2 negatives about it. So I'll do that now, and they're subjective. So I didn't have to include it with the meat of the review that we just did. But let me share that with you now. So the chapter ring, you can see that there's markings for each minute, and then there's micro markings in between those. And I mean, that's a cool look, I think, on a sport watch, like on a chronograph, right? I'm not the biggest fan on a dress watch. I think it's a little much. Again, that's my taste. You might like that a lot, you know. So I would change that if I had creative control over this watch. And then the other thing, we kind of mentioned it earlier, is the movement. It's not the prettiest movement. It's a good movement. You know, I have no problem with the 6R15 being in this watch and at this price point. But, you know, I want a little bit of pop and beauty to it. Kind of like the dial and the bracelet, how they look so sharp and they put a smile on your face, right? I want that on the movement, and I'm just not getting it at the level of finishing that's on this, you know. I wouldn't mind a gold-plated rotor. I wouldn't mind, you know, some nice finish work and lines, and so anyways, those are the 2 things that I would change about this watch. Other than that, though, it's so nice, and I've enjoyed it. I can honestly tell you, yes, it's a baby Grand Seiko. Just in the same vein as the SARB and the Brights are baby Grand Seikos, this lives up to those other 2 watches. And if you're looking for Grand Seiko-like quality, timeless looks, you know, expert finishing, little details like the glass dial and the blued hands, but you don't want to spend, you know, $2,000 to $5,000 on a Grand Seiko, you can absolutely buy one of these and love it and get those nice qualities. Not at the same level as at a Grand Seiko, but at a very high level that you're going to enjoy for sure. So anyways, that's my thoughts. I've got more good stuff coming. You know, I'm going to do that side by side with those 3, the Brights, the SARX, and the SARB. And then I've got a surprise watch coming that you guys are really going to like. CG, Michael, you guys are going to go crazy for this watch. So I won't tell you what it is yet, but it's coming down the road. And anyways, thanks for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. You guys are very kind in all your comments. I enjoy interacting with you. Thanks very much. You guys are awesome. Thanks for watching this review. If you have any questions, please let me know. You feel free to hit me up in the comments section or email me. More than happy to help. And cheers, guys. Catch you in the next video.